So we're now looking at sheets and printing and setting up your layouts and a few other bits and pieces to do with the views on a sheet, but we'll start off with the sheet itself. I'm down in the sheet section of the browser and A100 unnamed. So this is what the thing looks like. It's a series of lines and we've got then some text and some fields or labels as they are called. I just double click on this to edit it. I can click on it and then edit family, or if I just go a quick double click, then this takes me into the family editor. So just be wary where you are. You're not in the project browser anymore. You're going to load it back into the project. Okay, so looking at some of the stuff that we've got over here. Now text is just text. So this thing here, which is just text, that's just 3mm text. Text at 3mm is another family. So we've got the font you can change. These are standard fonts from your software. The text size, make sure that these things tie up. Just because it says 3mm there doesn't necessarily mean to say that it's going to be 3mm. So again, this whole duplicate family thing, just be careful how you deal with it. So that's just text, and then you get other things. This is a schedule. This is a drawing schedule that's put in there, and then these things are labels. So this is an 8mm label, and if we want to edit type, then again we've got this information, which is just really about the font size and the font. So if I close that down, if we look at the label itself and click on edit, then this is going to give us the fields which reference this label. So this is the project name, and the sample value in there is project name. So again, I could add some more fields to these, so maybe designed by, and just pop that in as well. So that's going to now appear under that. And when these things get put into some of the various places inside of Revit, then these things just automatically fill in. So these fields are useful things to have. It means that you haven't got to keep digging through the drawings trying to find out whether you need to change the name of something or not. If they're all done properly and linked, then there's no need to worry about the changes happening across the board. So I'll just apply that and OK that. So now we've got project name DSG. Okay, so that's the label that's now been added to this bit. So in this family editor, again, we can delete lines. So if I didn't want to see that bit or this bit at the top, I could delete all that and take some of these things out. I could give myself a bit of extra space then up here by sort of maybe changing the size of this. If I just used this tool, I can just trim round to that bit, and so all of a sudden I just gain a little bit of space up here. Or if this was too wide, because it is quite wide for a drawing, we're looking at sort of nearly 100mm of drawing taken up with this thing, so it's quite a big sort of title block. Sometimes they're better off just running along the bottom. But anyway, that's all up for grabs. If you want to change some of these things, then please feel free to do so. This is editing the A1 metric, RFA, so remember it's a family. So for this to go back into the project, I'd have to sort of load into project. I should really overwrite it and save it as something else, but I'll load this back into project and let's say overwrite existing version. So now my sheet looks like this. So I've got a few changes. If I wanted to actually load a different family from the default families that we have, then down to the sheets, right click on where it says sheets, new sheet, and then this gives us the sheet options. So we've got A1 metric and none. So I don't know what none is. If I said OK to that, then it's just a blank thing. Okay, so that's unnamed A101. Let's delete that one. So that's just a blank space without any drawing on there. Maybe you could draw in that environment. I have no idea whether you can do that or not. Let's try that again. So right click, new sheet, and title block. Okay, so I could drag some bits and pieces into it though. So let's just drag this into this blank space. So if I did want to just show stuff in space, I maybe use some detail lines to create a box the right size for a title box. Then I guess I can do it that way. Okay, so it's not really too much of a problem one way or the other. I'm going to get rid of this and right click on my A102 unnamed and delete that. And I'll go Sheets, right click, New Sheet, load up a sheet, and then we come down to the bottom of our, or nearly the bottom of our library, and go to title blocks, and then I'll pick the sort of A2 metric size. Again, like half of it's been taken up by this big title block. Open that and say OK. So now I've got A103 because it keeps counting up. So if I need to right click on this and rename, I'll call it number 101. And both of these are unnamed at the moment, but the title unnamed is going to appear there. So if I was to rename, and then this is the parameter, so new project, okay, and then that just updates that thing. This information here, the owner, well, that's on the sheet box here. You've got approved by, designed by, checked by, sheet name, revisions, etc. So still nothing that says owner there, the client. So we've still got no information on the client. Where does that belong? If you can remember way back, we go to the project information, and this is where we have that type of information. So owner, then we can go in, and that's our client name. Say OK to that, and then that updates as well. So these things are linked back to various different aspects of the program. So I'll just go back to my A100 unnamed, and I'll just show you how to set up the paper size first of all, because that seems to be something that does cause a problem. So you've got two things to play with. So once you've set your sheet up, and you're just going to make sure this is the right size, so just always worthwhile giving it a quick whiz over with the tape measure. So that's 840 that way, and we're looking for about 594. So 594 by 841, I think, is, so 840 is the A1 size. And then depending on which type of printer you use, then you're going to be chopping into the edge really, because this is the sort of size of the paper, and then you'll end up with a boundary depending on how good your printer plotter is. It's going to crop it. What we don't want to do is print this off and fit to scale, because then we're not going to scale the objects correctly in the viewport. So to do that, application R, so down to print, we've got three options: print, print preview, and print setup. Print preview is always a good one to see, so you can tell whether things are going to work out properly with your print preview. So I'm guessing this is not quite right, because that does look very, very wrong. So let's just go close to that, and let's go down to print again. Print setup. So we're looking at print setup. Here we've got something that says the paper size is letter. Well, I know it's not letter. I know it needs to be sort of an A1 size, and it's got their fit to page. Just be really careful about that. So if I say zoom 100% and I say OK, now what we're going to end up with is something that's going to just give us a letter size bit. Probably starts from this bottom left corner. So let's just go back to print, print preview. And now we've got this bottom left corner. So that's a letter size piece of paper, and it's showing the full scale 1 to 100. So again, let's close that. So we need to make sure that our printer is set to A1. So back to this, back to print, and this time we go to the print option, and we need to make sure that the printer is the PDF. Now I'm using at home, so I've only got a few options. Okay, so I'm going to use this Adobe PDF one. But in university, we'll have a whole host of different printers. So you might want to print an A3 sheet out to one of the Follow Me print queue. Otherwise, then Adobe PDF. But the most important thing is just to make sure that that says that. We go into our properties and we change this. We can do it elsewhere, but if we do it here, then it's going to be much, much easier. So oversize A1. We haven't got the full bleed, so we'll go oversize A1, and we can say OK to that. And print range, current window, that's all fine. Combined sheets, that's all fine. Reverse print order, so we can just say OK to that, and then what we want to do is just cancel this, and we have now set our printer to the PDF. So now if we went to print preview, then it's seeing this. Okay, so that oversized means that it's kind of made it slightly too big. So what I should do is just cancel that, go back into this and go down to print and set that print and come into properties and just change that to the A1. Okay, we don't get the scaling option in this thing, and then I can close that down. I don't need to say okay, and then we can go to this one, print, and then print setup. So A1, zoom 100%, and appearance, raster, quality, high, colors. If you've got colors you want to see them, then that's okay. View links in blue. We've got all other sort of options there. Hide scope boxes, that's probably a good one to do. Hide crop boundaries, that's also probably a good one. Replace halftone with thin lines, that's again certain things that we could possibly look at. So let's say okay to that. So print setup obviously isn't going to print. So back to print preview this time, and everything should look fine. Okay, now we've got our right size paper, we've got our scaling for our zoom, and we're ready to print stuff off. Now regardless of what it looks like here, the printer might crop it a little bit round here. Okay, so most printers won't print right to the edge unless you set it for full bleed. That isn't an option with this. So I'll just close out of that. And all I need to do now is start adding a few bits and pieces to this, which I'll do in the next one, and then we can call it a day.